If you've ever dreamed of drawing and creating things on a canvas and watching them come to life as astonishing websites like these without any coding, then your dream is real and it's called Framer. Good news is you can learn it quickly and get started in no time. Ready? Let's go! The interface in Framer is similar to design platforms you're familiar with. Up here on the left, you have different elements to add to the screens. On the right side, you have settings, languages, and preview or publish controls. Down here on the left side, you have different pages, layers in different pages, and the project assets. On the right side, you have design properties like positioning, styling, and effects. Finally, in the middle, you have your canvas that holds your screens. Every page on the sidebar can have one or several screens, each dedicated to a device breakpoint. So if this homepage shows up on a device wider than 1200 pixels like a desktop, this screen loads. If it's smaller than 1200 pixels but wider than 810 pixels like a tablet, this one loads. And if it's smaller than 390 pixels like a mobile, then this one loads. You should just make sure that your website loads beautifully on all three breakpoints. In this step, we're going to do what's called a Pro Designer move. Yeah, you can just skip to the next step and start creating. Or you can go to the Assets section and from Styles, enter the fonts or colors or other things that you'll be using all the time. For example, for body text, I'm going to use Enter, because it's literally the one font you can't go wrong with. And a bright text color since I'll be making a dark mode design. For color styles, I'll make one for the background in dark mode. But how do you apply the styles? You select the screen, go to the properties, and from a style, choose the color you want. Or if it's a text, choose the text style. Now you can grab the Pro Designer badge and go on to the next step. If a section of your website had elements like this, how would you structure them? Just put them on the screen casually, or stack the heading and the subheading, then stack the squares together into a grid, and stack the whole thing together. If you go with the first one, you're gonna have a hard time keeping things in order while resizing. If you go with the second option though, you can make sure everything is positioned properly inside their parent. For example, we have this section. We can stack it horizontally or vertically. The items inside can fill up the stack either from the starting point, the center of it, the end of it, or in a way that there's a space between them, around them, or distributed equally. They can also be aligned to start, center, and end. They could be wrapped so if the screen size decreases, items can fall on other lines. And finally, they can have paddings around them. Grids, on the other hand, are two-dimensional, with as many columns and rows as you want. So what do you think? Which layout looks better on it? Let me know in the comments. Now it's time to add some elements, starting with something simple like text. Everything you might want to change about this element is found on the Properties sidebar. Once you're done with text, you can click on the Insert option and add a variety of ready-made templates for pages, sections, navigation bars, menus, and so on. This is great if you don't want to design anything from scratch, but need something that looks good and works well. Then you can add all sorts of elements, like creative stuff, images, videos, forms, icons, and much more. But wait, is that it? What about shapes? Well, just press G and create any shape you like. Paths, rectangles, ellipses, polygons, stars, each with their own set of quirky settings. Before we go any further, we should take care of the elements we created. I mean, yeah, we did put them in layout, so after resizing the screen, they would stay in proper positions. But what positions? We didn't specify any positions yet. And unless you want to go through every single element again at the end of a very hard day, you should think about that right when you're making each element. On the right sidebar, it shows that its position is relative to the left and top of the screen, which could make it fall out of the viewport like this. Instead, we can unpin it from the left side and change its width from a fixed amount to a relative amount, like 80% of the screen. Now it's reactive to the breakpoint. There are many position options, like absolute sits wherever you want and ignores the other elements. Relative is a little more considerate of the other elements and sits next to them. Fixed keeps the element in one place so it doesn't scroll along with the rest of the page. And sticky scrolls normally at first but sticks to the top of the page. After these, we have width and height amounts, which could be fixed, relative, filling their parent, or fitting their content. So far, everything was about the not-so-fundamentals. But now, the fun stuff begins. The rest of the sidebar has everything you need to spice things up and stand out. From effects and transformations to overlays, custom cursors, and accessibility options. And it's all pretty simple. Like this section. Let's add an effect to it. We'll add a scroll animation so when it's in view, it fades in. Then I want to transform it into a 3D board by enabling some perspective and moving it around on the x-axis. Makes it look pretty cool. Next, I want to make this button open a contact form pop-up. I can make clicking on it turn into a fixed overlay where I can create any frame or pop-up I want. the same exact way that I designed the homepage. In the end, I want to add a custom cursor to it, but not a web cursor like these presets. More like a cool custom one like this to appear when I hover on it. But I can only set this as a cursor if it's a component. Remember the whole reusable assets we made a while back? Well, we can make assets out of any element the same way, and it's called a component. To turn anything into a component, just right-click and choose the option, or use the shortcut Ctrl-Alt-K and then name it. Now this is the same custom cursor as a reusable component we can use anywhere we want. All we gotta do is reference it. Components can have different variants, like if this was a different color. They can have states, like a different look if you hovered or pressed on it. If you want to switch between these variants, just hold this little icon and drag it to another variant. For example, we can make this section a component and create an expanded variant of it. So after clicking on it, it would expand into full page. So an interaction like this could happen. Once you're ready to publish your website, just go over to the settings, give it a cool name or other info, and press publish. The key to mastering Framer is practicing. So try out new ideas, build, break, and repeat. Finally, a huge thank you to Framer for sponsoring this video. You can try out my link in the description to get started on Framer. Well, that's all for this video. If you liked it, make sure to do your magic down below, and see you on the next one.